Welcome to the very deep left coast, otherwise known as Oregon. Flew into PDX this morning and got this. Looks like a garden variety E-Class, doesn't it? Actually, it's not. It is an E-Class with a 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. That's right, 4 cylinders. 195 horsepower, 2.1 liter, but at 1,800 RPM, it turns out 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, those are interesting numbers, but this is the one that's most interesting. This 4,400-pound vehicle I drove, I want to say about 60 to 70 miles up to Mount Hood here in Oregon. What was my MPG? And before you answer, I had the air conditioning on, otherwise known as a klimaanlage. Take a look. I know what a designer does. I know what an engineer does. I have no idea what the hell you do for a living.
That's a good question.
Yes, it is.
And we get that a lot.
Yeah.
And really what it is, it's our job to translate what we think is going to be happening in the market, and we translate that back to our friends in Germany who design the car, build the car, engineer the car, do everything there really is, but they need our feedback.
So you're more like a genie. You're kind of looking to the future.
Yeah, we do have a crystal ball. Okay. And the beauty of it, it's pretty accurate. But you know, honestly speaking, it really comes with a lot of experience. We have a great team, and we rely on that. We also rely on our dealers to give us a lot of feedback, and that really supports what we're trying to do.
Say, I'm going to build a brown car with a chrome blade in the front,
right,
with a tan interior. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
But someone came to you, what, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and said this to you?
Yeah, we start working on these things well in advance of when you actually see the car. The car you see here today, we probably first started talking about 4 or 5 years ago. And but it takes that, and what we do is a lot of research. But you think about new things like brown. Brown is the color you see. It's really trendy now, but we were already talking about this 5 years ago. And you know, we look into that crystal ball of ours and say, okay, what's going to happen? And we look at all sorts of things with our colleagues in Germany. They're looking at fashion, they're looking at houseware like furniture and things like that, that people are understanding that earth tones are now coming in vogue. And we start saying, okay, how do we apply that to a car? What sort of browns might that be on the exterior? What do we do to the interior? What do we do to the wood trims? And you see all that really reflected in the 2014 E-Class is the fruit of all that labor. Oftentimes we get it right, but hey, again, it's a crystal ball, and you're seeing the future. And like I said, if we knew 100%, we wouldn't be doing this. We'd be hanging out in Vegas betting on the Super Bowl.
So give me an example of when you didn't get it right.
You know, sometimes we're either out ahead of a trend, or the trend doesn't really develop like we think it will. It could be certain colors or cars. You know, there's a certain color. There's a blue color that we had when we launched the E-Class, sort of a light blue. We called it quartz blue, and we felt like, hey, okay, let's try it. We put it out there. We had it for a couple of years, and it turned out it really just wasn't what people wanted, and we got good feedback on it. But at the same time, we're a company that you have to take risks. We've always been at the forefront. Sometimes you call it the leading edge, sometimes it's the bleeding edge. And what happens is you get things out there, and the market just doesn't respond the way you think it will. But we reward people for taking risks, because it's a calculated risk, and you do the best you can to bring something to market that's unique. And if it doesn't pan out, it's time to move to the next thing.
So let me give you 3 examples, 3 cars, and you say quants or gut.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Ready? So we'll start with CLS.
Gut.
Gut. R-Class.
That's probably a quants.
Quants. CLA.
That's gut.
It's gut. So how did that come about?
Well, because with a car like that, and you see it right away, it's not a car that's a little version of the next car up. It's a car that has an emotional design. We call it, you know, internally we kind of call it the design rebel, because it's not like Big Brother C-Class. It's you know, if it's like anything, it's probably more like a CLS. And we know that's an emotional design, and it's one when you see, you like it right away. But the good thing, I probably could tell you it's both, because when you clinic a car like that, you're going to get a great response. And when you announce pricing on a car like that, and people are just blown away that you're going to have a car with that much style and emotion at a great price, and sell it below $30,000.
Let's say, for the sake of discussion, you've made the transition from being merely rich to wealthy. What would you drive? A luxury car, a sports car, or perhaps a fancy convertible? They buy this, the station wagon, or if you've been watching the show for a while, pig fair car. It's because my father, who grew up in rural Wisconsin, used to call these things pig fair cars because the local farmers used to bring their wares to the farmers market, pigs, in the station wagons. But that's not what's interesting here. What's interesting here is the average income of the buyer of these things. If you take a normal E-Class sedan, the average income is a measly $192,000 a year. Even if you go to the convertible, it only goes up to $264,000 a year. But the station wagon, $352,000 a year on average. So putting aside the quants for a minute, in the car world, at least the car business side of it, there's a big factor that goes into resale, determining resale, and that's the lease versus buy mix. And if you take a normal luxury car, most of them, whether it's a Mercedes, BMW, Audi, I don't care, Cadillac, it's about a 60 to 70% on the lease side. The station wagon Mercedes, it's like 90% people roll in and just write a check and say, have a nice day. So you gave me some numbers, some really interesting numbers about the average income.
Yeah.
And average ages and all that kind of stuff. And the wagons, like off the charts.
Off the charts.
The average age of the AMG wagon, is it higher or lower?
Lower.
By how much?
I'd say 4 or 5 years probably. So, and that's every year is a big chunk on those kind of things.
Oh yeah.
But it's a very passionate owner, and we find them coming into those cars at an earlier age.
Yeah.
I think part of it is it's the most ridiculously practical car you can get. It's 577 horsepower. Oh, but honey, didn't you notice it has back seats and all this capability? It's really, and it's all-wheel drive now. So that's purely, I mean, you can sell that a number of different ways.
Absolutely, and it's safe.
I want to make sure the kids get to school okay, and I think
on time.
On time, okay. And when I go for bagels on Saturday, they're still going to be warm when I get here.
You and I, we got to talk some controversy.
Okay.
Okay. For as long as I can remember, a Mercedes had this.
Yes.
And now you're giving me this. When I'm looking down the hood or the bonnet, or whoever, wherever.
Right.
I want to see the star and the laurel down there.
Okay.
Call me old-fashioned.
Okay, old-fashioned.
Thanks a lot. How does this come about?
Well, when we've done, and we hear a lot about the sporty character of the car and what that star means to different people. For years, the rule was stand-up star on sedans, station wagons, and then the integrated star on coupes and convertibles.
Yeah, that worked for me fine.
Always has been like that, and historically, but we've broken that mold. SUVs have the star in the grille, and what we found is it's a design element that people really like to see in the grille. But it can be somewhat polarizing, and I think that's a good thing. You have something that way people are emotional about what they're driving, and we have both. So in the sedan and the wagon, you have a luxury model with the stand-up star, and you look down the hood, you see the star. Other people prefer the star in the grille, and even other people on top of that like an illuminated star in the grille. So that's
you're doing those
that's
now.
really the next thing.
Yeah, super duper bling.
Yeah.
So okay, what clinic's better?
Typically these days it's age dependent. So you see younger people prefer the star in the grille. I'm telling you, we're both old. So it happens at some point. You think you're the cool young kid, and eventually there's a lot of younger kids, and you're thinking, I remember when I was the cool one.
Yeah, but what if I said I want the AMG? Okay. Then I'm younger, right?
Yeah, well, it does sway that way. So you tend to see and so that's going to be the star in the grille. But we even have, you find it every now and again, people will do the double. And they'll get the star in the grille and the stand-up star. That's probably going a little too far.
That's a little,
But
that's chicken and waffles, man.
Yeah.
One or the other. Okay, we got two grill choices now. But me personally, I need the star and the laurel looking down the hood. What about you guys? I want to see some comments. Which would you go, sport or luxury? I'm going to send it to Bart, and he's going to take it to Deutschland. So click here to watch one of our 250 other episodes. Click here to subscribe. And can we ask you guys a favor? Can you watch these within the first 36 hours? Because it gets us more views, which gets us more dollars, which gets you more episodes. And of course, follow us, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll see you guys next time.